it, they cured. I mean, it's all part of the database. It all helps. You learn more and more about the system because sometimes I can tell you 90% of the time it's never what you think. It's always something else. But with this stuff, it's pretty much the same thing because they're shipping everything the same way.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know how many people sold their G2s? They gave up on them. They sold them. They couldn't deal with it. And in a way, I don't. Look, I was disgusted myself. I got the radio right, and let's see, I got the radio, and they made it was operable on Thetis, but it wasn't 100%. Still had some issues. He sat here, Brian. You remember? Sat here. I wouldn't even touch it. And I was just so disgusted. I had to go, and I didn't know anything about Pi, HP SDR, and I didn't know anything about Linux or Raspberry Pis and all this. If you only knew the little investment I have now learning Raspberry Pis and how many Raspberry Pis I have, and now I'm not even on Raspberry Pi anymore. I'm branched out into different compute modules, different Linux. Now I'm learning Ubuntu, Linux Mint. There's another one, Linux Mint. Debian 12, which is similar to Raspberry Pi. And they're all pretty much the same in a way.
Oh man, I have enough trouble with Windows.
Windows. I wish everything, the Windows was easy because that's what I started on. But I remember when I first started with Windows, it was Windows 3.1. Now, I would buy hardware and I would install the hardware, but I didn't know how to install a driver. I didn't even know what a driver was, right? And I would install the stuff and I couldn't get it to work, and I'd be sitting there scratching my head for days and weeks, and then eventually I started to catch on. And there wasn't much information back then, when I first started. They had maybe PC, the book PC for Dummies.
Yeah. I kind of taught myself, I guess, just messing around with it.
Hello, guys. VA3WU.
Hey, good afternoon. W2VOA Brian up here in Western New York.
How you doing, Brian? Heard you earlier. I wish I could have stuck around and listened. I have a Raspberry Pi 4B, and I'm using it for my Sun SDR server, but I really want to. I have a radio berry I wanted to get going to. Anyway, I'm just on the Hermes Light here. Just thought I'd check in and say hello. Just with a Blue Yeti microphone, nothing spectacular there. Just trying to see what's on the bands today, just for a few minutes before the wife gets back, and then my ham radio career is over for the day, and she's got plans for the rest of it. So back to you, VA3WU.
Yeah, copy that. Yeah, you sounded good on that Hermes Light. That's what I'm running here too. I think Richie might be on the G2.
Yeah. Hello there. How you doing there? KA3WUU. Case, this is Rich. KC2ZUR in Long Island. Yeah, I'm on my my Apache Lab Saturn G2, and I never really get to use it. It's been over a year updating and getting it right. Finally, we're able to use it after a year. So, but yeah, no, I love the. I got the Hermes Lite too. I love that radio. I don't see much difference between the two in the performance, or that I could tell. I mean, if there's a difference, it's really hard to tell the difference, to be honest. But there's some other features that this will have that the other one don't, and I don't use them anyway. So, like diversity receive, I never use it, so don't know. Couldn't tell you the difference. I know what it does, what it's supposed to do. And but I love the Hermes Lite too. Great radio. You mentioned Radio Berry. You running Radio Berry software on that Hermes Lite too, or were you running the Thetis, or you building a Radio Berry?
No, currently running Thetis and running the Hermes Lite 2 Plus, I guess it is. I've got the mic board in it. But I'm not using one of my good external mics. Instead, I fall back on this Blue Yeti. It's kind of in the corner for video conferencing and stuff, and it's just easy to make work on this thing. But yeah, I have a Radio Berry board I bought and never was able to get to work. So I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard. I'd love to get it up and running, and have never done it. In fact, it got to the point where I pulled it off of the Raspberry Pi so I could put the original case back on it with the fan, so I could use it for the Sun SDR server. So now it's my server for the Sun SDR radios I have, and it just kind of sits there and runs 24/7. And in fact, they just came out with new software for that. The new server software is supposed to get rid of all the lag, because there's a considerable lag in that software. So. But I mean, I'll tell you what, I've got a Flex 6500, a 4 Sun SDR2, well, 3 Sun SDR2s and 1 DX, and then the Hermes Lite, and then a 7300 and a Kenwood TS2000. I'll tell you what, the best value for the radio that I have is the Hermes Lite, bar none.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've been saying that. I totally agree with you. I like, and you get the Sun radios, the great radios too. I don't knock. Listen, I'm not I'm not for any one particular type of SDR radio, because they're all the same. It's basically digital to analog converters. That's pretty much what you're looking at. And they run different software, different types of operating systems. But they're all doing the same exact thing. The hardware is not where you're hearing the you're getting the sound from the software you're using, how it's being mathematically calculated. So Thetis is done with the WDSP engine to create the radio, the filters, the transmitter, the audio. And, Thetis is just a package that uses the WDSP 1.25 version. And so is Pi HPSDR. And I'm sure they're all using the similar WDSP engine, unless there's another one I don't know about. Now, I don't know about the Sun. I know the Russian guys did their own programming, but I'm sure it's pretty similar.
Oh yeah, I think that they're more similar than they're not. And personally, the GUI I like the best is the Sun radio software. Better than the Flex software, better than Thetis here. Although I really appreciate Pure Signal, and enjoy knowing that I'm not really running it. I'm running it within the radio, and it does do its thing within the radio. But I have a sampler here I never hooked up because I'm using it with an SPE Expert 1KFA amp, and the problem there is that I have 4 antenna outputs and they're all full. So when I go remote, I don't have to worry about switching antennas and then tuning the antenna. That's all has tuner memory and all that. So it all works really slick. The problem is when I go to sample, I can only sample on one of those antennas with the sampler I have, and not on all four. So I've never put the sampler in line, and I use the Flex on like port 1, input 1, and I use the Hermes light on input 2. So I've kind of just left it as it is. So if you're hearing a little bit, if you're seeing a little bit of spurious harmonic on my signal, that's probably what it is. Although I do have the PSA turned on, it's just turned on within the radio, so it's only picking it up what the radio's it's cleaning up what it's seeing within the radio. That's all.
It looks pretty damn clean to me. I got to be honest with you. I don't have any problem with it here, so it's working. Yeah, usually you put that. I know you get different antennas and whatnot, but if you can get it just on the output of the amplifier, if you're sharing the amplifier with I know your remote and all that, and that's a nice amp, that expert amp. But if you can get it on, different antennas, so you don't know what output you're using. I got you. I follow you.
Yeah, so that's what's messing me up right now. I guess I can. At one point in time, I'll have to. I do have another amp. I have a Russian amp, an EB500, and I may switch. I do have an OCF on that, and then what else? An Antron 99 for 10 meters, 10, 12, and 15. It works great up there. And I think that's what I'll end up doing, is putting the sampler on that and running the Hermes light through that amp. They're both low drive amps, so it should work equally as well. It's just the better antennas are connected to the SPE Expert 1K, that's all. Anyway, guys, I didn't want to jump in there, but I wanted to say hi. And I always like to, I brought up K3FEF just so I can see the signal, just to make sure everything's okay. I got a shock mount for the Yeti Blue. Now, I'm a boom mic kind of guy. I have a Electro Voice RE320 on the Flex, Electro Voice RE20 on the Sun, and then my 2-meter sideband Sun. I have a second Sun on that, and I have a Hi-L Gold Elite, and that's on a boom too. All my mics are on booms. So the Yeti Blue was sitting on the desk, and I had an extra boom laying around with a shock mount for the Yeti style microphone, or the Blue style microphone. So I threw it on, and that's what I'm talking through right now at about 6 inches. So I don't want to hold you guys up. I'll let you get back to it, but it was nice to listen along for what I could capture about what you were doing, setting up the Pi HD SDR scene, and that's, I wouldn't mind using my Pi. I think I'm going to get another Pi, just for that kind of situation, for running Pi HD SDR through with the Hermes light, or maybe with the radio barrier. It's supposed to run the same software, so that'll be exciting. It'll be fun to get it going, although it's very low output. I'll probably have to amp into the amp, but we'll leave that for a later date for now. But anyway, all this stuff's just way too much fun to play with. Back to you, VA3WU.
All right, let me say, Brian, I'm going to say one more thing, then I'm going to pass it over to Brian. Well, the Blue Yeti mic is proven. A lot of guys are using that mic, and it sounds pretty good. I don't have any problem with it at all. You sound damn good to me. And there is a way you could get that sampler. So in the amplifier, right? I forgot what you call it, the Italian amp. You have to get that sampler in before the antenna switch. So somewhere in the amplifier, the main output from the amplifier, before it goes to the switch that selects the different antennas, on the main input, if you could get a sampler connected there, you're done.
Yeah, and it's funny you should say that, because my buddy has an Expert 1.5K. It's a newer amp, and it does have a sampling line, like an SMA out the back of the amp. So I figured that, although it's, an older amp, but I figured it would still probably sample the same way. I was going to open up his and see where his takes that tap from, and then try to do the same thing on this one.
Yeah, you would want to tap it before it splits it to the different antennas. So this way you always get the sample no matter what antenna it switches to. And then when you remote, it doesn't matter. the radio is going to get that sample back from the amp so the software can correct it. All right. I didn't get the name, so send the name, and I'm going to pass you over to Brian, W2VOA.
Okay, the name here is Rick, Romeo India Charlie Kilo.
All right, nice making your acquaintance, Rick. All right, Brian, take it away.
Yeah. That Blue Yeti sounds real good there, Rick. Are you using the software with it too?
No, negative. I'm just going into the computer and then directly into the back of the Thetis software.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I guess they have a software package you can use with that as well. But no, that sounds beautiful, man.
Okay, good. I don't get on it enough, so once in a while I'd like to fire it up and run the cobwebs out. I'll tell you, when I turn on the Flex, the 6500, and widen it out to say 4K, it almost looks like it's got, and even though I'll have equalization set to accentuate up to 4K or 4.5K, it just seems like it's stepped, like it's bandpassed at like 3200, and then it adds a little bit extra to get you to 4K, where the Hermes light just seems to do it so natively. Like it just seems like, I think I have my bandwidth set at 4K right now. Yeah, 60 to 4000. And it just seems to do that effortlessly. Where the Flex, you got to try to push that, from say 3300 up to 4K. You got to kind of push audio in there, where the Hermes just loves doing it.
Oh yeah, it sure does, dude. No trouble at all. It quickly became my favorite radio. I used to be a knob radio guy with the ICOMs and Yaesus, and I never thought I'd be into SDR radios, but here I am. I just love it, man.
Oh, it's hard not to, that's for sure. I think somebody else was in there too. Go ahead.
Oh, I said, you know why, right after you said the audio. I just got in there about a quick second with you, Brian, in the beginning. But I didn't, I heard everything. You know why you got to struggle and drive so much audio in there? Because they don't have, so you could open it up. What is the maximum transmit bandwidth on a Flex, just out of curiosity? Because in the software, that EQ, the equalization in there is a firewall to the frequency. Whatever it cuts off, it will not allow that audio to fill the bandpass.
Yeah, and that equalizer, right? I can carry audio up to 8. And now I've ran it at 6 kilohertz wide just to try it, just to see if it changes, but it really didn't. And you can equalize up to 10K if you wanted to, but usually on my Flex I have it set from just standard talk. If I'm whatever I'm doing, say from 60 to 3150, and then if I stumble upon guys like on 7222 here, I'll widen out to 4K on it, but it doesn't seem to do it as easily. It's not as willing to give me that last K of audio at the same level it does the rest, where the Hermes Light just does it so easy. Even though I do, I have the equalization cranked up at that end, and then I also set the transmit bandwidth to 4K, 4200, something like that.
Yeah, I believe it's in the software. Check this out. You want to see something, Brian? I'm going to go to 8K. Now, this Pi software, the way I set it up, I got it set up that I hit the filter button, and I could use my receive filters for receive and transmit, but I tailored them. So right there, that should be 6K, going out to 6K. I don't know how well I'm EQ'd for it. And that takes me out to 8K right there. So this is 8K running Pi HP SDR with the G2. Now, it does the same whether it's the G2, the Hermes Lite 2. It works really well. But the maximum on the Pi HP SDR software is 8K. Where on the Thetis, I could go 16K, which is ridiculous. I mean, you know how hard that is to EQ audio from 20 hertz to 16K? Actually, I think I could push it a little further. No, 16K. But that's kind of, you need some good EQ in there. Anyway, let me go back. And now we're back on 4K. So I don't know if you heard the difference.
Can you hear me?
I did, man, for sure.
4, 5. Oh,
and yeah, you're still 20 over at there.
Yeah, that's 8K on my end, but it's, yeah. I'll drop back here. A3W8.
Hello, radio.
Yeah, that was incredible, man. Oh my gosh. Oh my. It's better than broadcast radio.